Hey there, welcome to this video. From this video, we are going to start building our very first React.js project. Now, what I'm going to do is the first project that we'll build, I'm going to pick it an easy one, alright? So that what will happen is you will enjoy the learning process and gradually will increase the difficulty level, alright? So the first project that we are going to build is going to be a simple arithmetic calculator. Now this is very exciting, this is a very simple topic that we are picking up and you will enjoy building this project, alright? So let's quickly get started. Let's start building the arithmetic calculator, the simple arithmetic calculator. Now in order to start with this project, what we are going to do is we are going to set up a React.js project, alright? So we are going to use one npm package in order to create a React.js project, in order to create a template for our React.js project, and we are going to do this with the help of npx, which is node package executor, alright? So we have already done the installation, whatever is required for building the React.js project. So we have already done that in the previous video. If you haven't seen the previous video, please go check it out. In that video, I have covered the installation which is required in order to set up and in order to build React.js. So we basically need Node.js, we need npm, and we need npx, alright? Now let's start with creating our React.js project. So in order to do that, what we are going to do is we are going to fire the command npx space create hyphen react hyphen app space name of your app. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to name my app as arithmetic calculator. Now there is one important thing that you should note while giving name to your app. In this case, I'm giving name as arithmetic calculator. You need to take care of the naming convention. See, the naming convention is very simple here. You have to use all lowercase letters, okay? You can't use uppercase characters, you have to use lowercase characters. And let's say you have multiple words, in order to combine them you can use hyphens, as I have done over here. So basically I have two words, arithmetic and calculator. So in order to combine them, I have used hyphen. So this is the simple naming convention that you need to follow. See, this naming convention is also called as URL naming convention. So if you see any URL on the internet, you will see we use this naming convention. We use all the characters in lowercase, and in order to combine multiple words, we use hyphen, alright? So yeah, this is the simple command in order to create a template for our React app, okay? See, I'll repeat the command. We have to type npx followed by space followed by create hyphen react hyphen app. Now this is a package, create react app, okay? This is a package from npm. So we are going to use this package. We are telling the npx to execute this package, and what this package will do is it will create a template for our app, and name of our app is going to be arithmetic calculator, alright? So this is what this command is going to do. Now if you don't have this package installed on your machine, okay, if you don't have this package installed on your machine, then what this npx is going to do is it will ask you that create react app is not present on your machine, do you want to install it? So you just have to click yes, you just have to type y and press enter, and then what npx will do is it will first install this package on your local, on your machine, and then it will execute it. Now in my case, I already have this package installed on my machine. So in my case, npx will directly create the app for me. So let's hit enter. Let's see what happens. See, it is saying creating a new React app in this directory, alright? So it is creating arithmetic calculator app in my home directory. So it is doing couple of things. Basically, it is installing some packages. It is saying it might take a couple of minutes. So we need to basically wait for a couple of minutes, and then after that our project will be ready. So let's wait for some time. Alright, so now you can see our project setup has been completed. Okay, we are getting this success output. It is saying created arithmetic calculator at this path. Alright, you can see this is the path /user/roshi/arithmetic hyphen calculator. See, this is my home directory, and inside my home directory, create react app has basically created arithmetic calculator folder, and inside that folder it has created the basic project for us, alright? It is recommending few commands. You can see over here, you can try several commands, npm start, npm run build. Right now don't worry about them, we are going to discuss about them later on. then it is suggesting us to begin by typing cd arithmetic calculator. So what it is saying is change the directory and go into arithmetic calculator, and then it is asking us to fire npm start command. Okay, and if you see over here, it is saying npm start command starts the development server. All right, so we are going to try this command npm start in a while. Right now, first thing first, what we'll do is we'll open our project in Visual Studio Code. All right, this is the IDE that we will be using. Now, in order to open our project, which has been set up by Create React App, so in order to open that with VS Code, there are a couple of ways. The first very simple way is using the GUI. Okay, so what you can do is you can open the VS Code. So I have VS Code already open on my machine. Let me go to VS Code. So over here, in order to open a folder, we have this option. We can type command followed by O. So it will open this panel, and with this panel, what we can do is we can select the folder that we need to open. This is one way. The another way is you can go to files, and then from here you can select the option for opening a folder. So once you click over here, you will get the same option to open a folder, and you can select the folder that you want to open. In this case, we have to open arithmetic calculator folder. So let me open this folder. Let me click on open. You can see what VS Code will do is it will open that project for us, which is present inside arithmetic calculator folder. Okay, now over here it is just asking us to trust the author. It is asking us whether you trust the author of this folder. So we just have to click on this checkbox, and you just need to click on this button. Yes, I trust the authors. All right, so yeah, that's it. Basically now our project is open. The another way to open the project with VS Code is with command prompt or the terminal on Mac OS. So what you can do is you can go to your terminal. Let me clear the terminal. You can go to the terminal and you can go to the directory which you want to open with VS Code. So in this case, I want to open this arithmetic calculator project. So I'll go to that directory with this command cd arithmetic calculator. So you can see I have changed my directory. I have gone to this directory which is arithmetic calculator. You can also verify that using pwd command. So you can see my present working directory is arithmetic calculator. All right, so once you go to the project directory, whichever you want to open in VS Code, what you have to do is you have to type code followed by space followed by dot. Okay, so we are basically telling VS Code. So this code command basically is an alias of VS Code. So you are basically telling VS Code to open the current directory. That's why we are specifying dot. Dot means current directory. So what this VS Code will do is it will open the current directory, and yeah, I mean, you can start working with your project. So let me hit enter. Yeah, so you can see the VS Code has got open up, and you can see our project, which is arithmetic calculator, is getting shown over here. So our project has got open up in VS Code. So these are the two ways by which you can open your project in VS Code. You can choose whatever you like. All right, so let me see what this warning we are getting over here. It is saying restricted mode is intended for safe code browsing. Trust this folder to enable all features. Let me click on manage, and it is asking us to trust this folder. So as we are opening this folder for the first time, it is asking us to trust this folder. So I'll just click on trust. So once you click on trust, all the features will be enabled for this folder. Otherwise, there will be few features which won't be available for you. The VS Code will open the project in restricted mode. All right, so you can see over here like what happens in restricted mode, what is not allowed in restriction mode. So you can see it over here. All right, now let's discuss about the folder structure of our project. See, the very first folder that we have over here is node modules, node underscore modules. Okay, now this is a folder which holds all our dependencies, which holds all our packages that we need for our project. All right, see, if I expand this folder, you will see tons of packages basically which are being used in our project. Now these packages, these dependencies are specified by Create React App. So if you remember, we have set up this project with the help of Create React App. So Create React App has basically specified the list of dependencies which it requires in order to run our project. All right, see, you can find the list of dependencies in this file, which is package.json. So if you open this package.json file, you will see we have something called as dependencies, and inside this dependencies we have list of dependencies. So we have something called as testing library, just DOM, and testing library React, React itself, React DOM, React scripts, web vital. So these are the dependencies which are specified by create React app. If you see in this dependency list, we have like only 6-7 dependencies, but in the node model folder we have so many dependencies, we have so many packages, we have so many folders. Why this is happening? Because see, we have 7-8 dependencies over here, but even these dependencies have their own dependencies. They are going to have their own dependencies. That's why this node model folder is going to have so many packages, like hundreds of packages it is going to have. Okay, see this folder, you can also delete it. If you delete this folder, let's say accidentally or maybe just to try it out, what you can do is, in order to recover it back, you can fire a command. Let me clear the terminal. See, you can fire a command called as npm install, and with this command what you can do is you can get this folder back. So what this npm install command basically does is it goes through the dependencies array from the package.json. So whenever you trigger this command, what this npm install is going to do is it is going to look for package.json file in the current directory, in the directory from which you are firing this command. Okay, once it gets the package.json file, it goes to dependencies list and it will install all the dependencies, and it will also install dependencies of the dependencies, and it will build this node model folder for us. Okay, this folder is kind of important because in order to run your project, in order to serve your React.js project, you need to have your dependencies. All right, that's why this folder is important. Let's go to the next folder, which is public folder. Let's see what do we have inside this public folder. So if I expand this public folder, you can see inside this folder we have favicon.ico. okay, you can see this is like an icon. See, if you know this favicon icon, basically this is the icon which gets shown next to your tab name. So if you open any tab in your Google Chrome or in your browser, you can see we have an icon, something like this, that you can see over here. So this icon is called as favicon icon. Okay, then we have index.html. This is very important file. Index.html is an entry point file, entry point HTML file. This is very important. You can see currently there are lots of things inside this file. We are going to clean these things later on in this video. Right now, don't worry about them. Okay, we have some logos over here. Then we have this manifest.json file. This manifest file is basically like a metadata of our application. Again, we are going to delete this file because for this project we don't need to have any metadata. It's a very simple project that we are building. Then we have this robots.txt file. This is for the search engines. So again, we don't need to, optimize our application for the search engines. So that's why we don't need this robots.txt. So we are going to delete that. For now, let's ignore it. Let's go to the next folder, which is src folder. Now in src folder, there are like a couple of files: app.js, app.css. So we have some JavaScript files, we have some CSS files. Okay, these are again preloaded files. There's some content already written inside these files. Again, this content is added by create React app. We are going to see what this content actually is and what we get when we serve our application, when we run our application, what we get inside the browser. We are going to see that. Okay, see, in this folder there is only one important file, which is index.js. So we are going to focus on this file, index.js. Now just focus on this file, index.js. Inside this index.js file, there are a couple of things happening. First of all, we are importing React from React package. So you can see this package is there in the dependencies list. Okay, so from this React, we are importing this React. Okay, then we are importing React DOM from React DOM/client. You can see React DOM is present in the dependencies list. So from React DOM client, we are importing React DOM. We are importing index.css style sheet over here. This is how you apply style sheet to your React.js components. So just import the CSS file inside a JavaScript file and that CSS will be applied. Okay, I hope you know these things. Then we are importing app. This is the component that they have built inside this app.js file. You can see it is a functional component. So they are importing app component from ./app. This is the file basically, and they're importing report web vitals function from report web vitals file. This is the function that they're basically exporting. Again, we are not going to discuss about web vitals and all. It is not required for our project. Okay, after this is done, what they are doing is they are using React DOM, and from this React DOM they are using this method called as create root. So what they are doing is they are creating a root. Now root is like a mounting point where you are going to mount your application, you are going to mount your React.js application. They are choosing a element which has id as root, okay, and from where this element is getting picked up, it is getting picked up from this index.html, okay. So in this index.html you can see they have this div with id root, okay. So over here they are going to get this div because it has id as root, and then on this root, okay, they are mounting, they are rendering the application, okay. So they are calling render method on the root, and what they are rendering is they are rendering the app component. Now this app component is wrapped inside react.strict mode. So basically this is something, strict mode is something which React has introduced. We are not going to go into the details of strict mode, we don't need to use it in this project at least, so right now don't worry about it. All right, so I hope you have got a basic idea about the project structure. See, we just need to focus on three important files. Package.json, this file has list of dependencies, it has some scripts as well. You can see it has scripts like start, we are going to use this start script. There are some more scripts like build, test, eject. Maybe we are not going to use these scripts at least for this project. Then the another important folder is public folder. Inside this public folder we have to focus on this index.html because this is the file which is going to be served by your React server, and on this file you can see we have our mounting point, which is this div with id root. And then inside this src folder we have this important index.js file. This is again entry point of your React application, this is like main file of your React application. So here what we are doing is we are picking the root element, and on that root element we are rendering the application, okay. So I hope you are clear with the folder structure. Now let's quickly run the React application that we have over here. So let me clear the terminal over here. Let's increase the font size a little bit, and let's type a command called as npm start. Now what will happen when we write npm start? Npm will go to this package.json and it will pick a script with name start, okay. So we are asking npm to run start script. So what they are doing in start script, they are using React scripts, and for React scripts they have some start command, so that command is getting triggered. Now this React script is a dependency you can see over here. So we have installed this dependency. So this React script is going to help us to set up a development React.js server, and this development React.js server is going to serve the React.js application for us on localhost port 3000, okay. So let's trigger this command, let's see whether our React.js server starts or not. So you can see our React.js server has been started, and you can see we are getting output on localhost port 3000. This is the output that we are getting. So we are getting this React rotating logo, and then edit src app.js save to reload. This is what we are getting, okay. So this is the basic project which has been set up by create react app. Now let's start with the cleanup operation. Now we don't need all these things, right? We have to build the calculator. So now what we are going to do is we are going to perform some cleanup operation on the project that we have currently. So let's go back to the VS Code. So there are a couple of files which we don't need. So first of all, favicon.ico, we don't need it. We don't need these logos, we don't need this manifest, we don't need this robot.txt. So let's delete them. Let's go to this index.html. Now in index.html there are so many things, okay. There's a clutter, so I'm going to clear that clutter. See, in the head we are just going to keep this title, okay. I'm going to delete everything else. Let's rename this title to calculator because this is the name of our app, okay. And let me also delete this comment. All right, now it looks clean, right? Let's go to src folder. Now in src folder again we are going to delete couple of files which we actually don't need. We are going to delete this app.css, app.js, app.test.js. See, this app.test.js is a testing file, okay. It is unit test file. Right now for our project we are not going to write any unit test case, okay. We are just going to create a project, that's it, that we are going to do for this project. So we don't need any testing setup for our project. So I'm going to delete this app.test.js file. I'm going to delete setup test file, which is again helper for setting up the test environment. We don't need it. We are going to delete this report web vitals, logo.svg, index.css. We'll also delete that. We'll just keep this index.js, okay. Let's delete them. Now in index.js we were importing couple of files. Okay, create react app was actually importing couple of files which we have deleted recently. Let's remove those imports. So we don't have index.css, let's remove it. We don't have this app, so let's remove it. We don't have this report web vitals, let's remove it. Let's also remove the call for report web vitals. So now our app looks pretty clean, right? Index.js looks pretty clean. Let's also remove this react.strict mode. So let's just keep root.render. Now we don't have something called an app component, right? So now what I can do is I'm going to do a simple thing. I'm just going to return a div, and inside this div I'm going to write calculator. Okay, that's it. Okay, and we can keep package.json actually as it is, but there are few dependencies which we actually don't need for this project. We can actually delete them. So the dependencies like this testing library, we don't need them because we are not going to write any test cases for our project. So I'm just deleting these testing library dependencies. Okay, also from the script we can delete this test command because we are not going to do any testing and we are also not going to perform any eject operation. So we can also delete these two commands. We are also not going to perform any build operation, but we can keep it for now. So what this build command basically does, it once we complete our project, we can build our project. Okay, this build command is going to build the production level build. Okay, it is going to give us the production quality build which we can use to deploy. Okay, but we are not going to deploy this project, so we can also delete this build command and we can just keep start command. That's it, I guess. So this is the cleanup operation that we have basically performed. Now let's see whether this npm start still works. So I'm just using Control C to kill the previous run, and I'll clear the terminal and let's do npm start again. Let's see whether it works. So you can see we are getting this calculator on the screen. Okay, we are getting this calculator output on the screen. So basically our cleaner operation has been done successfully. We are not getting any errors while running the React.js development server, and we are getting this calculator on the screen which we have done over here. If you observe this file in index.js, we are returning calculator which is wrapped inside a div. Okay, so yeah, this is about the cleaner operation. Now let's start building our calculator. Okay, we'll actually start building our calculator now. So let's start with creating a component called as calculator which we can render from here. Okay, so what I'll do is in src folder, see whatever we do now, we'll do it in src folder. We don't have to touch any other folder. We don't have to touch public folder, at least for this project. Okay, so we'll do everything in src folder. So in src folder, what I'll do is I'll create a file called as calculator. We'll give extension as .js because it is a JavaScript file. Now inside this calculator.js file, what I'll do is I'll create a function component with name calculator. See, always remember, this is like a standard convention that we have in React.js. All the components are going to start with capital letter. Okay, so we use Pascal case convention for naming our components. Okay, so this is my calculator component. So what I'll do for now is I'll just return a div with text calculator from here. Okay, now in index.js, what I'll do is I'll import this calculator component. So let's import this calculator from /calculator, and instead of rendering div directly from here, what I'll do is I'll render a calculator component. So how I can do it, I can write calculator and I'll just close it over here. Okay, because we don't need to write anything between the calculator. We don't have to add any child for the calculator. That's why I'm just self closing it. Okay, so this is the calculator component and I'm importing that component and rendering from here. Now if you can see over here, we are getting an error. So what the error is saying is export default was not found in /calculator. So there's some issue with calculator.js file. Let's see. We have declared this calculator functional component over here, but we haven't exported it, right? So if we don't export it, then no one will be able to import it. So this is the issue basically. So let's fix it. Let's export this component. So I'll write export default followed by calculator. So now we are default exporting calculator component. So now index.js will be able to import it, and you can see now that error has been gone from here from the terminal. And let's go to Google Chrome and let's see whether we are getting calculator on the Google Chrome or not. Let me also add some stars before and after the calculator so that we can see the difference. You can see we are getting calculator followed by stars, and even before calculator we have stars. Okay, so our changes has been reflected properly. Now if you see any calculator, it is going to have two important parts. First part is a number pad and second part is the operators part. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two more components in the same file, which is calculator.js, and the first component I'm going to name it as numpad. So that component is going to render numbers on the screen, and I'm going to create second component. I'm going to name it as operator pad. So that component is going to render operators on the screen. So let's start with numpad. So I'll declare a function component, function numpad. See, a should be small. See, it can take some props. We'll decide what props we need to send to this component later on. It will return a div. Okay, now what we need to do is inside this div we need to add some buttons. We need to show 10 buttons. Actually we need to show numbers from 0 to 10, okay, in form of a button. Okay, so for that what I can do is I can write this JavaScript expression inside the JSX. This is the JSX that we are writing, right? So in order to execute some JavaScript expression, you need to enclose it in curly braces. So I'm enclosing it in curly braces. I'm writing a JavaScript expression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this array of numbers. See, this is my array. These are my numbers basically: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are the numbers that I want to display on the buttons. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to map this array and I'm going to create JSX elements for this array. Okay, for these numbers that we have in the array. So I'm going to get number out of it, and what I'll do is I'll return button component, and inside the button I'm going to show the number. Okay, this is going to be the value on the button, the number itself. So it will show 0, 1 and so on till 9. All right, see, always remember, whenever we use map, we should add key to the JSX element that we are returning from map. So on button I'll add a key. See, this key needs to be a unique value. Okay, so what I'll do is this number is always going to be unique for a button, so I can give key as this number. Okay, so this is my numpad component. Now what I'll do is I'll use this numpad component inside the calculator. Now I'll delete this calculator text from here, and instead of this I'll render this numpad. I'll self close this numpad component. All right, so let's see whether it works well or not. Let's go to Google Chrome and check. You can see a numpad is getting rendered. These are all buttons from 0 to 9. All right, so we have created numpad. Let's again go to VS Code, and now let's create a similar component, but this time it is going to render operators. So I'll name it as, let's say, opspad. Okay, and over here instead of numbers it is going to show some operators. So operators are like this. Let's say plus, then minus, all arithmetic operators. Let's say multiplication, then division, and also we'll add is equal to. This is very important. And we'll add one more operator. I'll name it as C, capital C. This is for clear. Okay, C is for clear. All right, so these are the operators that we have on opspad. So let's also show the opspad of after the numpad in calculator component. Okay, so see, this calculator component is first rendering numpad, and then after numpad we'll render opspad. We'll self close this tag. Alright, so we are getting some error over here. Let's see what this error is saying. JSX expression must have one parent element. Okay, see, this is very important. Whenever you return JSX from a component, you can return only one single element. Okay, now in this case what is happening is we are returning two elements. Okay, this is not allowed. Okay, so if you want to return two elements, what you need to do is you need to wrap them in one parent element, and after that you can return multiple elements, but you need to wrap them in parent element. So basically it means that you can return only single element, a single parent element. So what I'll do is I'll wrap them inside a div. That's it. And now I'll save this file and go back to Google Chrome. You can see now we have numpad followed by our operators pad. All right, so this way we have created a basic skeleton of our calculator, but this skeleton is right now kind of useless. Okay, if I click on these buttons, nothing happens, right? So let's switch to VS Code and let's start doing something interesting with these buttons. Alright, let me go to VS Code. Okay, so now what I'll do is whenever a user clicks on a number on a number pad or an operator on an operator pad, what we'll do is we'll start constructing an expression out of it. Okay, so in order to do that, what we'll do is inside this calculator component, we'll maintain a state with name expression. Okay, so I hope you know the syntax of creating a state. We are going to use a hook called a use state, as we are using a functional component to build a component. So in functional component, we need to use hooks. Okay, so to maintain a state, we have hook called as use state. Now this use state is going to return us array, and in that array we are going to have two elements, two things. First thing is state itself, and the second thing is going to be a function to alter the state. Okay, so I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to save the return value of use state into this array. So the first element of the array, I'm going to name it as, let's say, expression exp, and the second element of an array is going to be the function. I'm going to name that function as set exp. All right, and the initial value of exp, we can specify it in use state function call. So I'm going to pass it as an argument. So initial value of the expression is going to be an empty string, because initially when the calculator will render, the state of expression will be an empty string. All right, so I hope you are clear with this setup, which is expression state, and set exp, which is function to change expression state. All right, now this is very important. Now what we'll do is to this numpad component and to this offspad component, we will send one prop. Okay, and I'll name that prop as on click. Okay, so whenever user clicks on any button on numpad or any button on offspad, whatever handler we are sending to on click, that handler should get called. Okay, this is what we are going to do. So what I'll do is to numpad, I'll send one prop call as on click, and I'll send one function to this on click prop. Let me define this function over here. So I'll write const handle click. Okay, and see, this is an arrow function which I'm storing inside this handle click variable, and what I'll do is I'll just send this handle click function to on click prop. All right, and inside this handle click, what I'll do is I'll just console log, let's say, handle click called. Okay, so this is what I have done inside this handle click function. Now what I'll do is inside numpad function or inside numpad functional component, whenever a button is clicked, okay, so on click event of the button, so what I'll do is over here, when a button is clicked, button has this on click event, so on click of the button, we will send props dot on click. Okay, so see, we are sending this prop which is on click prop. All right, so this on click will be stored inside this props. Okay, props object. Props is an object basically in React.js, right? So from this props object, I'm picking up, this should be on click. Okay, so I'm picking up on click. So whatever function we are sending to on click, in this case I'm sending handle click function, so that function will be tied up with on click event of button component. All right, this is button component. All right, so in this way my on click function will get tied up with this button. So let's verify whether this on click has been set up properly or not. So let's go back to Google Chrome and let's try to click on any of the button. See, I have my console open over here, JavaScript console. If you don't know how to open this console, what you just have to do is you just have to right click and click on inspect. Okay, or in most of the operating system you can click on F12 button, function F12, this console will open up. Okay, over here you have to select console and then just click on any button. You can see we are getting output as handle click call. Okay, you can see handle click call is getting shown over here. You can see whenever I click on a button, this counter is getting incremented. So that many times handle click call is getting shown on the console. So I hope you are clear till this point. Handle click call is getting shown on the console. So basically the on click is getting assigned properly to this button. All right, we need to do the same thing for offspad as well. So we'll also send this on click prop to offspad. So offspad props will get this on click property, and we'll tie this on click with this button. So button has on click event, so this on click will be tied up with props.onClick. Okay, so let's verify this whether this works well or not. Again, I'll click on any of the ops. You can see again handle click call is getting shown over here. So this way we are successfully able to tie up onClick with the onClick event of the button. All right, see, this name can be anything. Okay, you can change it. So maybe you can name it as, let's say, just click. So if you just name it as click, then over here you will need to write click. See, it is very simple. Props is an object. So if I do console log over here, I'll print, let's say, props. You will be able to see what we are getting inside the props. You can see inside the props is an object. We have this click property, and click property is basically having value as this function, okay, which is console logging handle click call. So this is the prop object that the functional component take. I hope you know these concepts. All right, so now let's do an interesting thing. Now what we'll do is this handle click function will accept one input in this handle click function. So the name of the input will be, let's say, data. Okay, and what we'll do is whenever a button is clicked over here, whenever user clicks on a number button, what we'll do is we'll send the respective number. All right, so let's say if user clicks on 0, then we'll send 0 to onClick function, which is this function handle click. If user clicks on 1, then we'll send 1. All right, so how we can do it? See, just focus over here. Over here we need to do some changes. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just cut this from here. I'll just wrap this into one arrow function. Okay, and now inside this arrow function I'll call props.click and we'll send one parameter to it, and the parameter is going to be the number. Okay, and over here inside handle click, what I'll do is I'll print data after handle click call is getting shown. All right, so now what will happen, whenever someone clicks on the button, we are passing that value, that number of the button which is getting clicked. All right, that number will be assigned to this data variable when this handle click function will be called, and then we are showing the data on the screen. So let's see whether this works well or not. Let's go to Chrome. I'll click on some number. You can see it is showing handle click call followed by 6. Let me click on 9. You can see 9 is getting shown. 0, 1, 2, 3. You can see whatever number on which I'm clicking, that number is getting shown. So basically this works well. All right, see, always remember, let me explain you how this thing is working. See, this onClick is an event handler, and this onClick takes one function. Okay, now whatever function you assign to onClick, what onClick is going to do is whenever click event happens on the button, onClick will call that handler. Okay, whatever handler you are assigning to it. All right, now what onClick is going to do is whenever you click on a button, it is going to call the handler and it is going to pass the event object to it. Okay, now in our case we don't need to do anything with the event object. All right, our use case is little bit different. We need to actually send the number to our click function. Whatever number is getting clicked, that number we need to send to our click function. That's why what I'm doing is I'm wrapping this props.click call inside this another function, arrow function. Now this arrow function is going to get event object as an input, which we are not using anywhere, but while calling click function I'm sending number to click. All right, I will do the same thing for offspad as well. Okay, so I'll just copy paste the code from here and I'll just paste it over here because we need to do the same thing for offspad as well. On click we need to call props.click, but we need to send one input to click function, which is the number. Okay, in this case actually I need to change this name. All right, this is not a number. Actually number is not a good name over here. I'll change it to OP, which is operator. All right, so in this case basically I'm sending operator to click function. Now let's verify whether we are also getting operator to click function. So I'll go to Chrome and I'll click on some operator. You can see the operator is getting shown. All right, so now we are ready to construct our expression. Okay, so let's see how we can construct the expression. Now whenever we are getting any data to handle click function, what we are going to do is we are going to set the expression. Okay, so I'll call this set expression function. Now what I'm going to do inside this set expression function is I'm going to send function as an argument to this set expression function. So if you know, for setting the state, we have two ways. Either you can send the value or you can send the update function. In this case, I'm going to use update function. Now, when to use update function? Quick information. When to use update function? So whenever your value of the state, new value of the state is dependent on old value of the state, you have to use the update function. And whenever you have to set the state with some value, you can directly pass the value. So let's say I have to set expression with, let's say, this value, then I can directly set the value. But whenever my value is dependent on the old value of the state or current value of the state, I need to pass the update function. Okay, now how the update function looks like? See, you need to pass a function. It can be arrow function, all right? And now this function is going to get the old value of the expression or current value of the expression. So I'll name it as, let's say, curexp. Curexp. So it is current value of the expression. And what we are going to do is we are going to return the new value that we need to set into the state. All right. Now what is going to be the new value? The new value is going to be the current expression plus the data that we are getting. All right. This is the return value that I am sending. All right. So now what will happen? The expression state will get set. And what I'll do is I'll just write a console statement here. Console log. I'll just print expression state. So just to check whether our expression is getting set properly or not, let's go back to Chrome. Let me refresh this. So first I'll click on 1. You can see expression. It is 1 currently. Okay, just 1. Then I'll, let's say, click on plus. You can see expression is 1 plus. All right. Now let's say I click 5. You can see expression is 1 plus 5. So expression is getting set properly. Let's say I click 7. You can see expression is 1 plus 57. Let's say now if I click division, you can see expression is 1 plus 57 division. Let's say now if I click 8, you can see the expression is 1 plus 57 divided by 8. So our expression state is getting set properly. I hope you are clear till this point how we are using our expression state to store the value of the expression. Okay, so we are using this set expression function to set the value of the expression state, and I'm printing the value of the expression state with a console log statement. So yeah, this was very important part of the video, because in this part what we have done is we have done a setup of the state. We have done a setup of storing the data of our component tree. Okay, so state plays very important role, and over here we also use props. So what prop we have used? To numpad and to opspad we have sent one prop, which is click prop. So this click prop is a function basically, which is this handle click function that we are sending. And how these components numpad and opspad are using this click prop, whenever a button gets clicked, what these components are doing is they're calling this click function that we are sending as a prop, and they are passing value of the number or operator to that click function. So I hope you are clear till this point. Now let's proceed ahead. Now what we'll do is, see, we have to handle is equal to action properly. Okay, because this is equal to operator is a special operator. Now whenever user clicks on is equal to, we need to calculate the answer. We need to calculate the answer of the expression. Okay, so what we'll do is we will check if our data is equal to, if our data is equal to symbol, then in that case what we actually need to do is we need to calculate the result. Okay, result of the expression. Now the simplest way to calculate the result of the expression is eval function, which is present in JavaScript. Okay, see, this eval function is a function which takes string as an input. Okay, and this string that eval function takes as an input is going to be an expression. So whatever expression you send to this eval function in string format, what eval is going to do is it is going to calculate the value, or it is going to calculate the answer for that expression. So it is very easy for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, whenever data is equal to symbol, that means user want to know the result of the expression. In that case, I'm going to send expression to this eval function. Okay, and what eval function is going to do is it is going to return you the result. All right, so I'm going to capture this result into, let's say, this res variable. Okay, and then I'm going to do console log of this result. So for now, let's do this. So let's verify whether our result is getting calculated properly or not when someone clicks on is equal to button. So let's go back to the UI. Let me refresh this page so that our state will be refreshed. All right, let's create an expression. Let's create simple expression. Let's say 1 plus 2. Okay, this is the expression. Now I'll click on is equal to. You can see 3 is getting printed, which is our result. Isn't that great, right? So you can see our result is getting calculated properly. So we have expression now, we are getting the result. Let's do some more things in the UI now. So what we'll do, one more thing which is very important, is we'll show the expression on the screen. So I'm going to use this div element and I'm going to show expression which is getting constructed in this exp set on the screen, so that user will be able to see the expression, whatever expression he is building on the screen itself. All right, now whenever user clicks on the is equal to button, we are calculating the result. All right, so whenever we are calculating the result, we are just doing console log right now. But what I'll do is, instead of console log, I'll set expression with value of result. Okay, so I'll update the expression with value of result. Whatever value we are getting inside the result, I'll set expression to that value. All right, and we'll use this set expression only when our data is something else other than is equal to. So I'll put this inside else block. Okay, so logic is very simple. If we are getting data other than is equal to symbol, let's say it is a number or some other operator, then in that case what we are doing is we are just basically appending that data to the expression, to the end of the expression. All right, if the data is equal to, then what we are doing is we are calculating the value of the expression using eval function. We are storing it into the result and then we are updating the expression with value of result. All right, so this is what we are doing so far. Let's also handle C operator, which is clear operator. So I'll also add one more condition here, else if our data is equal to C, which is clear operator. So in that case what we actually need to do is we need to clear our expression state. We will set it back to original value, which is, you know, empty string. We'll clear the expression. All right, so cool. I mean, I guess now we are good to use our calculator. Okay, so let's go back to the UI. Let's start typing some expressions. So I'll write, let's say 1 plus 2 is equal to, you can see we are getting output here 3. All right, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, now let's do some more operations. Let's say, let me clear it now. Let's say 6 plus 7 is equal to, okay, I just clicked on C. Okay, let me do one more time. 6 plus 7 is equal to 13. Okay, now let's say if I click 4, what should ideally happen in this case? So if I click 4, basically it should show 1 3 4. Okay, because we have expression right now which has value as 13, and if we click 4 after it, it should append 4 after 13. All right, so it should show 134 on the screen. Let's see whether it works like that or not. So I'll click 4. You can see it is, instead of showing 134, it is showing 17. Now why this is happening? Let's go back to our code and let's investigate this. So all right, so what's happening here is, you know, this eval function is returning a number. Okay, so when I did this expression 6 plus 7, we got the answer as 13. Okay, and 13 was a number, so we set 13 into the expression. So our exp state had a number into it, okay, which was 13. Now after that, when I clicked 4, we got the data which is 4. So we have number into exp. So old value of exp is 13, which is a number. So what happened is it added 13 and 4. So this addition operator, it worked as addition of two numbers. Okay, and that's why we got the result as 17. All right, and that's why 17 got shown on the screen instead of 134. So in order to show 134 on the screen, what we can do is, while setting up expression here, instead of setting it up with res directly, what we can do is we can convert this res into string. The simplest way of doing it is something like this. I'll use string literal and inside it I'll have res. Okay, so now let's verify how it works. I'll clear the calculator. Let's do 6 plus 7 is equal to, you can see we are getting 13, and now I'll type 4. You can see it is showing 134. Let's do plus 10. Okay, let's do is equal to 144. Let's multiply this with 5. You can see we are getting 720. So in this way, now our calculator is working just fine. All right. So basically we have completed all the functionalities of the calculator. Now our calculator works really well. All right. Now the interesting and the important part which is remaining is styling our calculator, applying styles to our calculator. So let's jump into styling part. Now in order to style our calculator, what we'll do is we'll create a style file, a style sheet for our calculator component. So in src folder, let's create a new file with name calculator.css. All right. Now this CSS file is going to hold all our styles which we need to apply to calculator component. Okay. Now in order to apply CSS styles that we are writing inside this file to calculator.js, this calculator component, what we need to do is we need to import this calculator.css file into this component file. All right. So what I'll do is I'll just import calculator.css over here. Okay, let's check quickly whether this thing works, this integration with CSS works or not with one quick style. So I'll write star, let's give a background color as my favorite color, which is red. Okay, so let's see whether this works. So you can see the elements have got this red color. Okay, so basically our style is working. Okay, so the style is linked with component now. All right, so let's start stylizing the component now. So let's go back to VS Code. Let's start adding some classes to our HTML elements or JSX element. Okay, so for this div, I'll add one class. So I'll need to add a class name to it. So let me name this div as, let's say, container, because this is the main container of our calculator app, right? So I'm naming it as container. Then this is the area where we are showing the result. So I'll name it as result display. This is the numpad. So for this numpad div, I'll give class as numpad. For this opspad div, I'll give class as opspad. Okay, so let's start using these classes. So let's go back to our calculator.css. Let's apply some style to this container. So let's say I'll apply background color prop to the container, and let me give background color as, let me select this color, some random color, maybe some gray shade. Okay, let's say this one. Okay, let's see. You can see this gray color has got applied to our container. This was our container. All right, let's also give some border to our container. So I'll give border, let's say 1 pixel solid and some gray shade. Let me select the color, some darker color, something like this. All right, now let's also give round edges to our container. So for that I can use border radius. So let's give 20 pixel radius to our element. So let's see. You can see this is how our container is looking. All right, so it has basically got background color, border and border radius. Now let's add some padding to our container, because currently the elements, the child elements of the container are stick to our container, right? So let's add some padding. So I'll add some padding. Let's add, let's say 20 pixel padding. Okay, so now you can see it's looking pretty clean, right? Now let's start stylizing our result display. Okay, so let's apply styles on result display. See, for result display, what I actually need to do is I need to give it some minimum height. All right, because currently the issue that I feel with result display is when I am clearing it, the UI is kind of getting shaked. Okay, there is some shake on the UI because that result display is getting vanished when I click on clear. So I need to give some minimum height to it so that result display reserves some space always on the UI. All right, so let's give some minimum height to it. Min height, let's say 100 pixels. So that 100 pixel, I guess 100 pixel is getting too much, so maybe 50 pixels. So 50 pixel height will be always reserved for our result. All right, you can also give some border to it. So let's say border 1 pixel dotted, and let's use some light gray color. Okay, so this is how the result display is getting shown over here. All right, now let's arrange these numbers and operators properly. So on most of the calculators, what happens, or what we see is, we have numbers on the left hand side and then we have operators on the right hand side. This is what we have, right, on most of the calculators. Let's do the same. We'll arrange all the numbers on left hand side and we'll arrange these operators in a single line on the right hand side. All right, so for doing that, let's go back to VS Code. See, what I'll do is I'll wrap these numpads and offspad into another div. Let me give it a class name to this div. Let's say num ops pad container. So it is container of numpad and offspad. All right. So what I'll do is, for this container, I'll give display as flex. Okay. So once I give display as flex, let's see what happens. You can see numpad and offspad is getting aligned one after another. Okay. So basically this area is getting taken by numpad and this area is getting taken by offspad. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll select these classes. Let me pick them from here, numpad and offspad, and I'm going to apply some style to them. So what I'm going to do is, for numpad, I'm going to give width as 80%. So it will take 80% width of the flex container. And for offspad, I'm going to take width remaining 20% width. Okay, so offspad will take the remaining 20% width. So let's see what happens after applying this style. So you can see now numpad is taking this 80% width and offspad is taking remaining 20% width. All right, now what we'll do is, we have buttons inside numpad and offspad. Okay, so let me apply some style to those buttons which are present inside numpad and offspad. So on numpad, what I'm going to do is, the buttons which are there inside numpad, so button which is present inside numpad, I'm going to apply style to them. So I'm going to give width as 33%, so that we'll have 3 buttons on one line. So I'm going to give width as 33% for the numpad button. All right, so let's see. You can see this is how it is getting shown now. Okay, because I have given 33% width to the buttons of numpad. All right, for offspad, I'm going to give width as 50%. So let me do that. So let me copy this style from here real quick and let me change the class offspad button. So the width will be 50%, let's say. So let's see what happens. So this is how the offspad buttons will be shown now. All right. See, I can change the arrangement actually for the numbers. I can take 0 to the end actually. Okay, that way it will be easier for the users. So let me do that change quickly. See, 0, I'll remove it from the beginning of the array and I'll put it to the end. Okay, so this way 0 will come to the end. So this is how our UI is looking right now. Let's apply few more changes inside the UI. See, we'll color these buttons. Okay, currently they have a plain color. Let's color them. So for operation buttons, what we'll do is we'll apply, let's say, orange color. So background color for them will be orange, and for numbers the background color will be aqua. Okay, so yeah, this is how they look now. See, they have some old style border which I don't really like, so let's remove the borders. So let's set border as none and let's set border radius as, let's say, 5 pixels. So they'll have some rounded border. So let's see, this is how they look now. Okay, let's apply the same style to the offspad button as well. So as this style is common to both the buttons, what I can do is I can keep it at a common place. So this style will apply to numpad button as well as offspad button. So I'll keep it as at a common place. Remove it from here. All right, let's see the change. You can see this is how they look. Okay, see, there should be some space between the buttons, right now they are connected with each other. All right, so there is no space between them, so let's give some space between these elements. So in order to do that, instead of setting border as none, I'll set border as 1 pixel or maybe 2 pixel solid, and the color that I'll use to the border will be the background color of the container, so that this border will be invisible. Okay, you can see now we have the space between the elements, and the alignment is also good, right? So yeah, so far so good. Let's do few more changes. We should actually add some space between this border and the button top, right? So for that, what I'll do is we'll add some margin for this container. So margin top, maybe let's say 10 pixels, so that there will be some breathing space between them. Cool. So now let's type some operation. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. Clear. 6 plus 2 is equal to, okay, instead of is equal to, I'm again pressing C. This is bad. Let's say 6 into 9 is equal to 54. So calculator works well. Nice. If I close this console now, you can see this calculator is taking the entire width of the screen, which is not good, right? So what I'll do is I'll give a fixed width to our container so that this calculator will not take this much width. So to do that, what we'll do is for this container, we'll set up a fixed amount of width. Let's give width as, let's say, 300 pixels. Okay, so now it will just take 300 pixels width. Okay, now let's center align this. Right now it is left aligned. Let's center align this. So in order to center align this, what I can do is I can give margin. So let's say on top I need to give 20 pixel margin, and for left and right I need to give auto margin so that it will be aligned to center. So I'll give auto. So you can see it has been aligned to center, perfectly center, right? So now you can do whatever you want on this calculator. So I hope you enjoyed building calculator with me. This was the simplest arithmetic calculator that you can build in React.js. I hope you will build this project on your own machine and upload it to your GitHub profile. What I'm also going to do is I'm also going to upload this project to my GitHub profile, and I'm also going to share the URL, GitHub URL of this project in the description below. Okay, so if you want the source code of this project, you can take it from the description. I'm going to add the GitHub URL of this project. You can also build this project, push it to your GitHub repository, and add the URL of your GitHub repository in the comments down below. Okay, I'm also really excited to see the projects that you are going to build, see the calculator that you are going to build. So see you in the next video of the same series. Bye bye. This was Rishikesh. I enjoyed building this project with you.